When you think of The Weeknd and his sound, there's a lot of different ways you can go. But there's one sound that remains consistent across all of his production, and it's that dark, eerie R&B vibe. And if you've ever wondered how to achieve that sound, this video is for you. I'm gonna be breaking down this beat that I made inspired by some of The Weeknd's most iconic productions and sharing with you all the techniques that you need in order to achieve this sound. Make sure to watch to the very end so you don't miss anything, and let's get into it. I started this beat off with some electric lo-fi guitar sample that I found in Splice. The first thing that I did once I got the guitar in FL Studio, I pitched it down by 1 semitone and I took the tempo from 150 all the way down to 120, which is pretty much the sweet spot for this kind of sound. I put a pretty simple EQ, cutting out a lot of lows and a lot of highs, just giving it that muffled effect. I snagged this plugin from UAD on their Black Friday thing. It's the Galaxy Tape Echo. I've seen a lot of people use this for a very long time and I've seen great things about it, and it really helped me get the sound that I was going for out of this guitar. I used the Falling Down with Verb preset right here. There's so many knobs that you can mess with. I don't know if I tweaked any of them, but you can get very technical with the sound that you're going for. And then underneath that, another EQ cutting out some of the highs that were coming out of the delay plugin. With all those effects turned on and the tempo slowed way down, this is what the guitar sounds like. Just with those simple effects on it, it already gives me that dark, eerie vibe that I was going for. If you listen to any music from The Weeknd, you will 100% hear some sort of 80s synth sound. So that's exactly the kind of sound that I added next using this Luma plugin. Shout out to Loner and Johnny Wood for sending me this. This isn't sponsored at all, but they were kind enough to send me over this plugin once it released, and I have nothing but great things to say about it. It sparks tons of creativity as soon as you put it in one of your beats. I think this is like the opening preset, and I didn't mess with it like at all, and it just instantly fit the vibe I was going for. But using that plugin, I came up with this synth key melody right here. For the effects on that, again with the Galaxy Tape Echo, you're gonna see a lot of this plugin across this beat just because one, it was a brand new plugin that I just got, and two, it helps get this sound so well. I don't know how to explain it. You just put it on one of your tracks and it does the job. It's more than just another delay plugin. It really created an atmosphere and a vibe to all the sounds that I put it on. Let's talk really quick about how I recorded this melody. So as you saw, I did use a VST, which is a MIDI plugin, but I actually recorded it as audio using Edison. Edison is a stock rolling sampler inside of FL Studio where you can just record audio and manipulate it inside of the plugin, and then once you're done with it, you can just drag it into your playlist using this button right here. So that's exactly how I got this synth key melody right here. I played it into Edison using my MIDI keyboard and it generated audio waves instead of MIDI notes. I started doing this a lot with my MIDI instruments recently for two reasons. Number one is because it prints the MIDI to audio, like I said, and it makes it very easy to manipulate and add effects to later on, but it also keeps me from being so fixated on quantizing what I just played, which keeps the music sounding very human. Of course, you can go in later and chop up the audio wave and move it on time as needed, but there's just something about seeing that versus the MIDI note that just makes me not want to do it. The second reason is because the effects that you put on the sound that you're recording actually burn into the recording inside of Edison, so you can't go back and like later tweak the knobs. Some people may not like that, but for me personally, I overthink the crap out of my sound selection and I will sit there and tweak each little knob every chance that I get. So this just allows me to go off that initial sound, that initial vibe that I was feeling, and just leave it at that. Moving on from that, keeping the same thing with the 80s synth sound, I went with the most iconic synth of all time, arguably the Juno 6 sound, and I got this Space Harp preset right here. This one I did leave MIDI because I actually clicked it in. It's just a simple like counter melody to the synth keys that I came up with, and it sounds like this. Moving on to the effects for that sound, I'm not even going to explain myself anymore. Galaxy Tape Echo using the SOS Blip Blip preset, and then underneath that this Roam reverb with a 40% mix and a 2-second decay. Throughout this beat you'll see me use a lot of big reverbs in order to achieve that cinematic anthemic sound, which is very prominent in the Weeknd's productions. Moving on to the bass of the melody, I have two bass sounds stacked on top of each other. One is a synth bass and the second one is a bass that I played in live. The synth bass that I used in this beat actually comes from this Fraction plugin, which is another plugin that got sent to me by my guy Viam. This is a huge synth plugin that has just a bunch of synth sounds from the actual hardware synths themselves, and it's got tons of different menus that you can just tweak and mess around with. It's got this little like grid, I don't even know what you call it. It looks like a void. You can like move it around and it just gives you like different effects. It's kind of like Portal almost. Again, not sponsored, just another badass plugin that I got sent that I wanted to share with you. So I followed the bass notes of the guitar sample, and this is what just the synth bass sounds like. I cut out the low end from this sound using an EQ just because I wanted the high end distortion from this synth bass. That way I can layer it on top of the bass that I played in. And speaking of, this is the guitar rig preset that I use to record bass. It's the Dirty Studio bass preset. As I was talking about earlier, I recorded this into Edison. I switched this from on input to on play. I hit this record button inside of Edison and then I press play. What this does is every time the section repeats itself, it'll create these song jump markers right here. So when you drag this into the playlist, you have it here in the playlist with all these little markers from when it started over. So you just zoom in and then you chop from there. You take your best take and then there you go. So here's what that live bass underneath the synth bass sounds like. That's pretty much all the sounds in the main melody. Before I play it for you guys though, I wanted to show you this guitar that I created on top of the main guitar. All I did was took the guitar sample, duplicated it, and pitched it up an octave. I sent that to a mixer track and cut out all of the lows just because I wanted the shrieky high end of the pitched up sample. I sent it to the same effects chain as the regular guitar, and it just makes the guitar sound bigger for certain sections. I only have that guitar in during the chorus section. All of those sounds stacked on top of each other gives us the main melody for this dark, eerie, cinematic vibe that I was going for. Now we're gonna start talking about the drums in this beat, but before we do, I wanted to let you know that every single drum sound that I used in this beat is from my 1500 subs drum kit. If you want unique, hard-hitting drum sounds that you can pretty much use in any beat, go down in the description and click the 1500 subs drum kit. Also use code ARODYT for $5 off. Starting off with the kick and the snare pattern right here, I have the same snare sound duplicated twice, hitting at different times. I have both sounds routed to this mixer track right here using this reverb that's making it huge and cinematic like I was talking about earlier. The first snare hit has no effects other than the reverb that we put on it, but the second one has this tape echo preset that's playing a quarter note triplet delay after the hit. So this is what we have for the kick and the snare pattern. On top of that, I have this hi-hat pattern that I came up with, which sounds like this. If you've watched some of my videos in the past like this one, you've seen this trick that I'm about to show you guys, but basically in order to get this like boring, just like choppy hi-hat to sound pretty full and bouncy, I just route it to a mixer track and put a simple 8th note delay on it, turning down the sound and just barely turning up the wet. So it takes that choppy little basic hi-hat pattern into something that sounds super full and really helps fill out the drum pattern. To finish off this drum pattern, I added a couple different drum sounds that really help bring that cinematic aspect to the drums. I added this deja vu perk, which is really just like a rim that sounds like it was hit in like a tunnel or something. Then coming down here, I added this crash cymbal, and then on top of that I added this second crash cymbal right here that I shortened up and just turned down to make it sound different from the initial crash, almost using it like an open hat. And then this right here playing at the end of each 4 bars is a tom drum fill that I got from the kit in the drum fills section. It's the peace out drum fill, which sounds like this. But as you can see, I chopped it up a little bit, just rearranging the rhythm. I turned down the volume of this hit right here to give it more of like a human play feel. I also made each one of these hits unique, and I panned them out to different areas of the stereo field, as you can see right here. Putting all of these drum sounds together gives us the trap cinematic vibe that complements this dark, eerie melody. So I want to talk about the arrangement a little bit, starting with this intro that I created. The first 8 bars of this beat is this intro section that I created right here, starting with this pad sound. I got the sound from the Prophet 5 kit, which I think is the startup default sound. I just added some chorus and distortion to it inside of the plugin. And for the effects inside of the mixer channel, I put this decapitator on, adding more distortion just to give it that gritty synth sound. This EQ right here is just a low pass sweep that I automated to start coming in at the last 2 bars of the section right here. You could see these 2 automation clips look different from each other, and it's because this one I actually recorded myself automating it live. In order to do that, you're just going to want to create a new pattern and put it over the area that you're trying to record the automation in. Then you're going to want to open up the plugin that you're trying to automate. So for me, it was this low pass filter. Once you have the EQ or whatever you're automating set up, give yourself a little bit of room and then come press record here and then play. And then as it's playing, you just swipe it over and it'll record it like that. So the next time you play it back, it'll just do it for you. The next sound that I want to go over in this intro is this lead sound that I got from the Juno plugin. I ran that sound through this Galaxy Tape Echo preset and I recorded it into Edison. It's literally just me running up the scale with a couple notes. And then for dramatic effect in this intro section, I have this impact effects from my drum kit and then this scream that I got from Splice that I just drowned in reverb. I'm using the impact as kind of like a heartbeat, if that kind of makes sense. It just helps build, especially right here whenever it does like the double hit, and then the scream is just more dramatic. It really pulls the intro all together, and like I said, once again gives it that cinematic feel. With all of that put together, this is the 8-bar intro that I created for this beat. Just to go over the arrangement really quick, like we just went over, we have this 8-bar intro right here. Then it goes into this 16-bar verse where I have the bass and the snare and the kick in for the first 8, and then I bring in the hi-hat. But it isn't until the drop, of course, this 8-bar chorus section where I bring in all the drum sounds, all the melody sounds, and it's just the guitar in the verse over here. Also, the bass pattern in the verse, the first 4 bars are just duplicated over and over, so you don't get the full bass pattern until you get to the chorus. Little things like that help just kind of keep it fresh for the listener and introduce new ideas without re-recording anything. Some takeaways from this video to help you achieve this sound would be to use some big reverbs, some sort of classic 80s sounding synth, and also just to create a drum pattern that helps drive the cinematic aspect to these beats, but not doing too much at the same time. If you made it this far into the video, I appreciate you for watching. Like I said earlier, go down in the description and click the link for my 1500 subs drum kit if you want any of the sounds that I used in this video. Let's listen to the final beat. Flows so well. hi-hat for extra bounce.